Hey there, scabby scummers and gangers. Crimson Oracle here with another episode of Dome Runners TV. This is episode 1 of The Frontier, a new series of battle reports that I'm going to be doing that are going to chronicle my Friday Night Necromunda group's games as we play through the Frontier campaign, which is a Necromunda campaign that I wrote up to combine the settlement building elements of the Outlands campaign from Book of the Outlands and the Ash Waste campaign's vehicular commerce-based gameplay. So I wanted to kind of get something going that would, kind of scratch both of those itches, because I know I'm not the only person who didn't have time to get an Outlands campaign going before Ash Wastes came out. I was kind of confronted with this choice. Do I run an Outlands campaign and forego all of the new vehicular stuff that's been incorporated into the game, or do I kind of do the Ash Wastes route? I didn't really like the Ash Wastes campaign that much. It was just a little dry for me. And it didn't really have that kind of story, kind of hook that the Outlands campaign had. So I wanted to, kind of resituate the Outlands campaign into a new setting and make some tweaks and adjustments and pull stuff from Ash Wastes where it fit and kind of in a way that was perhaps less of the focus of the campaign. So, for example, in the Ash Waste book, there is a set of charts for you to roll on that give you the different road conditions that you can encounter, and then another set of 3 charts that you can roll on to get your weather conditions. So that adds up to, a vast, like a wild, outlandish amount of options. And while I think that that is cool and a fun thing to explore, and I will definitely be exploring those charts more down the road when I talk more about the Ash Waste campaign and whatnot, I have simplified them to make them kind of suit the needs of my campaign, which is for it to be a little lighter weight. So there's not that much for us to kind of have to contend with, because, there's a lot that goes into all of these different rules, and so simplifying sometimes is appropriate. And actually, I noticed that the Book of the Outcast had its own simplified charts for those environments that broke them down into like a single roll with like 3 different results. And that was way simpler than what was in the Ash Waste book. By the way, as an aside, it's sleazy as hell that they only put the Ash Waste campaign in the book that's in the box set. I don't know why the company does this stuff. It bugs the crap out of me. It doesn't make any sense to lock that specific set of rules behind a box set that comes with 2 full gangs that the person might not want to play. I find it frustrating. I'm excited to finally have this campaign going. I've been working on the gangs and the vehicles for a while. I'm very proud of how I painted all 3 of the gangs, as my regular game group are not painters, so I handle that aspect of it, and I'm stoked because as I have been posting about on various social media platforms, but haven't really shown off much here. I've been building terrain tiles to represent every single one of the pieces of infrastructure that your gang can build in their settlement. So the goal is to have them be these kind of relatively small 6x6 by usually 8 to 12 pieces, and then I can, sort of assemble anyone's settlement out of them. The only wrinkle is that my one friend is playing Ash Waste Nomads, so I might have to kind of do my own thing with that terrain wise, and make his infrastructure kind of as he adds it, because I imagine the Ash Waste Nomads have a very different aesthetic to their camps and their bases and stuff. So look forward to seeing all of that on camera as I get it done. So with that, that's kind of an intro to the outlook that I had developing this. This battle reports for this is going to have a new format from what I was doing previously. That's going to have at each break for a turn, we're going to have talking heads where the various parties playing discuss how they're feeling with the game and all that stuff, which I think will add a little bit more to the fun. And we're going to try to kind of highlight story elements and such that we are coming up with as we play, and really make this a fantastic narrative experience. So I'm looking forward to showing everyone our games and giving you guys some fun stuff to watch. And we're going to have a variety of action with vehicles and with settlements, and I'm just hopeful that everyone has fun. So with that, I'm going to move on to talking about the gangs that are going to be playing in the campaign, and then I will talk a little bit about the rules for the campaign itself. And at that point, I'm going to break, and episode 2 will be the first game of the campaign. So look forward to seeing that this weekend. Thank you all for watching. And don't forget to click the old subscribe button and the like button on the video, because that's how this gets seen by more people. So, show me some love, and hopefully we can keep growing this channel, get to the point where I get my studio set up, which is something I've been kind of working towards and brainstorming for a while. I'm looking forward to kind of going all in on the channel, and see where it gets us.
Greetings, I am Servo Skullwally. I am here to inform you of the gangs that will be participating in this campaign. First, we have the Ash Waste Nomads, piloted by David, nicknamed Milo. The gang consists of a leader with a long rifle, mono hook, blast carbine, mesh armor, infrasight, and the Overwatch skill. The gang is supported by a champion with a charge caster, suspensor, mesh armor, and blast pistol with the Bring It Down skill. Another heavy weapon is brought to bear with specialist carrying a charge caster, as well as an auto gun and mesh armor. The bulk of the gang is made up by Juves, 3 carrying blast rifles and 2 with scavenged auto guns, and rocket packs to support the charge casters. Finally, the gang is rounded out by 2 prospects with chain lance and long rifle. The nomads have opted to settle in the hunting grounds and have a starting caravan of cold traders. The arbitrator has allowed this player to take vehicles, but he has opted to start out without them. Next up, there is Sean Squats. The leader carries a power hammer, gem extractor, ironhead auto pistol, and mesh armor, and has the commanding presence skill. The champion has the ironhead bolt pistol, stone burner, mesh armor, and a bike, and has the dependable like kin skill. The gang's first ganger has an ironhead bolt gun and mesh armor. The second ganger has a power axe, ironhead auto pistol, and mesh armor. And the gang's Juve has a fighting knife, stub gun, dum-dum ammo, and mesh armor. The gang also brings 2 vehicles to the board, a rock grinder with mining laser and nitro burner crewed by Ironhead crew. and a wolf quad with bolter, wheel sides, and nitro burner crewed by Ironhead crew. The gang opted to start in the hunting grounds region, and their starting caravan is a fallen house. Finally, there is Eleanor, aka Crimson Oracle's gang, known as the Ash Blessed. They are led by a priest who carries a chain axe, stub gun, dum-dum ammo, respirator, mesh armor, and a bike, and has the commanding presence skill. Also mounted, the gang features a Juve with reclaimed auto pistol and bike, a Juve with a stub gun and bike, and another Juve with a reclaimed auto pistol and bike. On foot, there is the champion Deacon with long rifle and mesh armor, who has the combat master skill. And there is the champion Firebrand with the grenade launcher and mesh armor and the Restless Faith skill. There are also a Juve with reclaimed auto pistol and a Juve with a stub gun. Finally, the gang includes a Cargo 8 Ridge Hauler with 2 flamers, nitro booster, and a munitorium container, crewed by a Guild of Coin crew. The gang opted for the Old Ruin starting location, and the starting caravan is the Psi Syndica.
As you can see, the gangs were a lot of fun to put together. I went with kind of a OSHA theme for the squats. I wanted them to look like they were all, following the commands and protocols of Leagues of Votan rules that have been handed down for 10,000 years of these guys living on the surface of Necromunda. I downloaded an STL for a few different things for the gang. There is the Rock Grinder, which is a 20 millimeter dwarf APC model that I upscaled to be roughly the size of the Goliath and threw a platform on it so that it would have all of the components of the Goliath, but have that more, kind of dwarfy theme. I really like the crew guy who's standing out and pointing on that one. I'm a big fan of that one. And then the other vehicle, the Wolf Quad stand-in. My friend asked for a Wolf Quad. I could have gotten another set of bikes and converted a Wolf Quad, and I thought about doing it, but I had the idea to make, the whole army kind of feel bespoke and like it's a different type of tech than the rest of the Imperium. So I didn't necessarily want to go with an Imperium model for it, and that is why I landed on this sort of it's a death wheel for dwarves in Blood Bowl, I believe. And I popped a guy in there to be the pilot and gave him a little seat. And I mounted a bolt gun on an arm on the side of it. And we decided that even though the vehicle can't technically take wheel sides at the start, we had decided to allow it because it was thematic with the crusher kind of sides that are on the mono wheel, so making it kind of a tri wheel. But yeah, it was a really cool build. I'm happy with that one. I also found a bike STL that I really liked that was a kind of dwarf on a big chopper looking thing, and that was the direction I went in for the champion with the bolt gun and the stone burner. And of course, the rest of the guys were just out of the box with a few conversion bits. I think a knife from one of the Age of Sigmar Khorne cultists and an axe from the Space Wolves. I thought they were kind of suited to the aesthetic of the squats. So that was a fun squad to build, and I really look forward to kind of expanding them as the campaign goes on. And then there is the Ash Waste Nomads gang. It's mostly stock. There was a couple of things I did, like I put a sniper rifle without the, with the hands cut off on a couple of models to represent the long rifle that, the riders are carrying. And then I took a couple of Genestealer Cult autogun arms to use for the cultists who have the scavenged autoguns. Not cultists, nomads who have the scavenged autoguns. And I'm very happy with how they turned out. I did convert up a Stormcaller for the gang, so hopefully we'll get to add him soon. But he's currently sitting in my airbrush, waiting for several coats of a iridescent paint. Because yes, that's the thing I'm most proud of with this gang is I did iridescent paint using Turbo Dork paints through my airbrush to put on the coating on the bugs, and I think it gave them a really fantastic kind of unique appearance. So I looked at a bunch of pictures of beetles and stuff, and I was like, I really want to do this. And yeah, I'm glad I did. It turned out really well, especially with the weathering powder. I like that it kind of the weathering powder kind of organically covers it up in a way that like feels like actual dust. You know, I know that's the point of weathering powders, but like I think it looks particularly good on top of that iridescent kind of color scheme. So I'm very happy with those. And then of course my Cawdor gang, not to be outdone with the new flashy stuff. I used a Canoness for the foot version of my leader. For the mount that she has, I used the Sulphur Hound model from the Mechanicus range, and I actually used the legs of a Vampire Count Dragon Rider because I wanted something that looked kind of imposing and gothic in that way. And then she's got the upper part of a Redemptionist, but I used the Sister of Battlehead. And of course she has the Redemptionist chain axe and pistol off of the Enforcer's kit. Yep. So that's everything she's got. And then I 3D printed some of these sort of chocobo looking things. These are the Juves that are mounted. I figured House Cawdor likes birds, you know, it has rookeries. It might have giant rideable, you know, bird mounts. So looking forward to kind of trying to make those guys gain some experience so they can actually be useful, because goodness gracious, it's all Juves except for the two champions, which I used the Sisters of Battle, Initiate models that came out at the start of the year, or I guess might have been last fall. Those were a really cool set, but I decided that for Kill Team, I'm going to do a Redemptionist Kill Team as Faith Militant that will use those rules. But that freed up those models for me to kind of do whatever I want with. So I'm happy to be kind of sprinkling them into my Cawdor. Eventually they'll probably all be in my Cawdor. But they, you know, I like the idea of a bunch of nuns kind of, you know, watching over this group of Cawdor Juves and trying to like shepherd them into being effective fighters and stuff. Like these are people they saw potential in, and they're just trying to like, you know, get them there. But like, you know, in a kind of like whiplash kind of way, not in a good way. And then of course the Juve models are actually the old metal Cawdor Juves. So that's what I wound up with. Of course, I can't forget Tanctuary. This is the vehicle that I 3D printed from Maker's Cult. I believe it's some sort of Imperial Guard inspired transport vehicle. And I actually have built a 3-story building that goes on top. But of course, since the gang is just starting out, they couldn't afford to have 3 trailers on the Cargo 8. So I built it a temporary top. I really like the idea that the Cawdor gang has heard about or seen records of these giant cathedral tanks the Sisters of Battle use, and have either salvaged one or trying to create one. And those are all the gangs. So now we're going to go on and talk about the campaign. So I was saying in the intro, when the Outlands campaign came out, I was really intrigued. I really liked it a lot, and I started to build a lot of the structures that are mentioned in the book because it was, it was fun. And I am, very happy with how all of it kind of turned out. But with Ash Waste coming out, I really wanted a campaign that would use both elements. So I could have just run an Outlands campaign and just had everything kind of count as using a different missions or whatever, and I considered doing that. But I thought that sitting down and actually like merging the two campaigns together would be a better system. So what were kind of instead of the roadways and map based system that we got from the previous book, which I was it's a cool system if you want to play, that kind of jockeying for map tile kind of stuff. But personally, I found it kind of, it was okay. Not hating it, just kind of, it was a little bland. It felt like there wasn't that much opportunity to earn, and you weren't going to be building this like garage full of vehicles so much as you were going to be struggling to get everything kind of to stay running, which while thematic in its own way can be, it's a campaign that's not going to like really get you to test out the limits of the vehicle system and kind of, play with that stuff. So what I wanted to do was have a system that is a little different, and it's actually inspired by my annual every year I play through Fallout and Fallout 2, and one of the functions in the game that you can do is you get hired by caravans to escort the caravan to a different city. And it's a great way to discover new cities. You get paid cash, and you usually get XP because you almost always get caught by a bunch of raiders. And since you're fighting with a group of people, there are other people for the raiders to focus on. So you get an opportunity to really, get a whole bunch of kills. So that is a nice element of the Fallout games. And I kind of wanted this to have like a tribute to that aspect of it. So the idea is that each person controls the settlement, and each settlement has contracts to escort the different caravans around in the wasteland. So you get paid every week at the top of the week, and you get the income based off of, whatever the benefit of the caravan is. And there are 18 different caravan types, and they're all created based off of the different alliances in the game. But most of them are, have kind of simple benefits. You get some cash and some resources. Occasionally they will have like a side benefit that the player can engage in instead of getting the resources. This should make for some fun storytelling as, we kind of figure out what exactly stuff we're helping smuggle and, compete for those different contracts. Now, for the first half of the campaign, players will compete for new contracts. They'll be trying to earn them in order to, kind of expand the business that their settlement is doing. But in the second half of the campaign, everyone will be challenging each other for their contracts. So that is one element of the game. And then the other element of the game is the base building. And of course, it wouldn't be a good base building game unless the missions also included some missions that feature you going and fighting at the person's base. So once everyone has fought for their caravans for the campaign week, which for us is going to be 3 or 4 weeks per like each campaign week. And first thing you'll do is fight a mission that is on the road. So it's 3 different kind of rolling road missions that I found that I kind of riffed on from the various sources, but they're very much sort of taken directly from those missions. And then there are 3 missions which were taken from the Outlands campaign where the players are fighting at each other's bases. And that allows us to, kind of show each area's development and all that stuff. So what's exciting about that is I have all this terrain and all this stuff, and I'm really stoked to really get to actually play with all of it. And I've been trying to make it as portable as possible. And thankfully, the settlements don't get too big, so it's unlikely that anyone's going to get every single piece of terrain that I have, because that would actually become kind of unwieldy to move around. But regardless, it's I haven't finished painting all of them yet, so this should give me a little bit of fire to get caught up on that, and hopefully we'll be kind of showing off the territories. So as you can see here, there's a list of the various infrastructure that you can build in your territories. Now, a little different from the Outlands campaign, I had each starting location come with the ability to have a defensive structure essentially at the start, and they kind of played into the thematics. So the location that my gang is starting in is the Old Ruins, and it has a low defense score because it is a known location. And so there's, sort of constant raiding and attrition and all of that because of that. And I went with this location because it comes with free walls, and I have built the walls from the Stronghold set and really want to have the opportunity to kind of put them on the board and play with them. So why not start with that one? Whereas my friends went with the other location that had the critters because they really wanted that sort of thematic environment. And so that is going to be a fun thing to play with, and we'll see how all that goes, of course. And as you will notice, I did change some of the items from the Outlands campaign. I kind of wanted things to work slightly differently. So obviously one of the things was in the Outlands campaign, if you built a vault, then you couldn't do the settlement raid scenario. And I like all three of the scenarios that I went with. So I didn't want to disallow any of those three scenarios. I want to see all of them. So why create a structure that stops you from playing one of the missions that I want everyone to experience? So changed it to makes it so you always get some consolation money when you lose those settlement missions. So that's a fun one. I also changed the two structures that increased the supply limit and the building limit. I went ahead and made it so they create two spots. Yes, this allows you to expand your base almost limitlessly, other than on defensive structures. But since the campaign has a limited duration, I wanted everyone to have the opportunity to kind of, if they wanted to build in a certain direction, that their base would support it regardless of how I limited it. And they would have to kind of be focused and sprinting and planning in order to even do that, because, the campaign is only 8 weeks long, and one of those is a rest week. So there's only 7 sort of weeks to get your stuff built. So, and there's not an unlimited amount of time. They're not really weeks, of course. So we're probably going to be playing this for a few months, not 8 weeks, probably more like 12, 15, 20 weeks, we'll see. I also changed the Underhive Shrine because I didn't think that the effect really was as good or was as thematic as I wanted it to be. So I did change that one to grant some free rerolls instead, because it seemed more in fitting with the kind of blessings of the God Emperor and all that. So I am looking forward to that one. I'm gonna hopefully build it because I built a really cool fallen statue tile that I'm about to pop a whole bunch of candles on, and I'm excited to paint that one up and get it on the board. Now, the campaign did maintain some of the weather effects from the Ash Waste, but I slimmed it down to one table of road conditions and one table of weather effects, and I think that it works well without kind of creating too many situations that are going to frustrate people who have it to kind of keep track of all of this information, because some of them are a little bit much. But I think that they're a lot of fun, and I think that the weather conditions kind of play into how, the ash waste is different. And I want to engage with all of that. So I'm hoping to incorporate it into the games that we play, and I'm excited to kind of see how everything goes with all the different scenarios and everything. And I think it's going to be good, and I'm looking forward to getting all of that recorded for you guys to enjoy, because it's a really cool. It's a really fun rule set. The vehicle rules for Necromunda, as I've mentioned a few times before, absolutely blow me away. I'm so impressed with them. The vehicle rules function so well. My only complaint is that I feel like there needs to be more of them. Like, give us more vehicle chassis. I want a big walker. I want a walking platform. I want all kinds of stuff. I want a giant sand crawler thing for the Votan. I mean, the squats to roll around in, because I'm definitely buying that Votan land crawler eventually, right? And also, was the land crawler discovered by Arcane Land? Like, have we gotten that background yet? Because I want it to have been discovered by Arcane Land. Another change that I made was to make accessing the marketplace more difficult, because the ash waste is a more remote location. You have to roll in order to get anything outside of your house list, and if you build a black market, it helps to increase your opportunities there, in addition to increasing your rarity rolls. I think that's a solid system for kind of limiting and creating more scarcity. That said, of course, the Ironhead squads don't need to go to the trading post. They can just keep rocking whatever in the ridiculous stuff that they're carrying. So that was their gear is absolutely crazy, as to be expected, right, from craftsmen. Another thing that I changed for this campaign, because it's a short campaign and because I don't think that the default campaigns give enough experience, I juiced the XP gain up. So you get XP when you have an attack that causes an injury roll instead of an out of action result. And then you get a bonus XP if there's an out of action result. And there's another bonus XP on top of that if it's a leader. It's it's a solid way to get your guys sort of cranked up there. I'm hopeful that we're gonna get lots of cool advancements and everything. So with that, I think that covers pretty much everything in the campaign. Actually, wait, no, there is martial posture. So each week, players choose between whether they want to play aggressive or defensive. If you're aggressive, you'll get benefits when you're on offense. And if you're defensive, you'll get benefits when you're on defense. And I think it's a cool system, and it helps kind of add an extra layer of strategy to each week's decisions. And that just about covers the whole campaign system. I'm going to have an episode up with the first battle report this coming weekend, so look forward to checking that out when it happens. In the meanwhile, I am going to leave you with a number of images and video clips of the terrain that I have been working on to use for this campaign in its unfinished state, most of it. And so I look forward to showing this stuff off. And thanks, as always, to my patrons. You guys make doing this show possible. And of course, if you're interested in helping support the show on Patreon, head on over to Dome Runners on Patreon. There's a link in the show notes. And of course, don't forget to check out the podcast, the Dome Runners podcast. And there's a new episode that went up last week. And of course, everybody stay safe and don't forget to change your paint water.